So you failed.
No, you don't get it.
All right. You really failed. You failed, you failed, you failed. You failed. You failed. You failed, you failed, you failed. You failed, you failed, you failed, you failed, you... You think I care about that?
Victory or Death Starfighters, my name is Carlin Jones and this is a Starfighter movie review. And today we'll be looking at the 2005 drama romantic comedy, Elizabethtown. I feel like romantic comedies such as Elizabethtown don't really exist anymore. I mean, sure, you have the Hallmark channel and their formulaic movies, but romantic comedies from the late 90s to early 2000s are similar to film noirs in a way that they both don't exist anymore. Elizabethtown is one of the last movies from the romantic comedy era that gives you a well-known actor and a well-known actress developing a romantic chemistry for at least 120 minutes. It's also really refreshing to learn about a city a movie is based on just as much as you learn about its characters. So with that said, let's get right into the plot of this film. This film is about a man by the name of Drew Baylor, who is a hotshot designer for a commercial shoe company. With much hype for his next design, Drew gets fired because his latest shoe design cost the company over $900 million. With feeling disappointed with his horrendous failure, Drew was planning to kill himself until his sister called.
Dad died. He had a heart attack back in Kentucky.
Now, with the unexpected news of his father's death, Drew travels to Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and meets a flight attendant. Now, I'm only going to go over two main characters for this film. The first character I'll be discussing is Drew Baylor, who is played by the British actor Orlando Bloom. You probably don't know this, but this movie was Orlando's first role of playing an American, and he actually did a pretty good job. His American accent in this film doesn't sound fake nor rehearsed, which I'm sure surprised a lot of people because at this point of his career, he was heavily typecasted. Now, Drew's character in this film knows nothing about his family from his dad's side. With still feeling depressed over his shoe design, Drew realizes he didn't know much about his father's past. So when he meets family members he's never met before and explores the beautiful city of Elizabethtown with Claire's character, he learns a lot about his father and a little bit about himself in the process. Drew's chemistry with Claire is good and somewhat believable for a romantic comedy. Believe it or not, this is actually one of my favorite performances by Orlando Bloom. Now, the last character I'll be talking about is Claire Colburn, who is played by the actress Kirsten Dunst. Now, there's not too much to talk about when it comes to Claire's character in this movie, mostly because her character was written to be a MPDG, which means a manic pixie dream girl. Claire's character solely exists only so Drew can learn his life lessons from her. Personally, I really like Kirsten Dunst as an actress. However, because of how Claire's character is written, I felt that any actress could have played this role. Kirsten's acting in this film is good, but it's not very memorable. Claire's character is very free-spirited and often guides Drew to follow his heart and not to be so hard on himself. Throughout the film, it kind of doesn't even feel like Claire's a real person. Instead, she feels more like a spirit of Elizabethtown, which is pretty fitting because it's hard not to fall in love with Claire's character. She is a walking image of positivity and hope. Now, I want to talk about the production of this film. This movie was written and directed by Cameron Crowe. The writing process for this film is one of the most organic, beautiful things I've ever heard. Cameron Crowe was asleep on a long bus ride to New Orleans with his wife. When he woke up, the bus was driving through Kentucky. With seeing all the blue-green grass and the large blue landscapes, Cameron immediately got off the bus because everything reminded him of his father. After 3 days of getting lost in Kentucky and visiting his father's grave, Cameron already had the entire plot written for Elizabethtown. Now, Orlando Bloom was the first choice to play Drew Baylor in the film, but initially he couldn't do it because of his other filming commitments. The role instead went to Ashton Kutcher. However, in the beginning of filming, Cameron thought Ashton didn't have any chemistry with Kirsten Dunst, so Ashton was let go from the film. Cameron pushed back the filming of Elizabethtown for months just so Orlando Bloom can play the role. Now, my final score for Elizabethtown is a low 7 to a very high 6. And I'm very conflicted with that score because I really do love this movie, but its runtime is way too long. After the first hour and 15 minutes, you'll feel great about this movie and you will completely understand what life lessons this film is trying to present itself to you. However, when you do get to that moment, the movie still has almost an hour of runtime left. And for me personally, when I felt that feeling of what the movie was trying to tell me, every minute after that, it started to dissipate because the movie just ran on too long. So if you love romantic comedies or movies that have to do with family history, I highly recommend this movie to you. Just know that it's a pretty long movie.
Dying here, dying.
Alright, Starfighters, that was my Starfighter movie review. If you need to get a hold of me, you can contact my beta unit.
What the hell's a beta unit? Beta unit is a simuloid. An exact duplicate of you, only not as loud.
It's basically my personal cyborg that takes my place here on Earth whenever I have to go to Rylos. So comment below and let me know what you thought about this review, and my beta unit will get back to you. If you like the content, please like and subscribe to the channel. Until then, victory or death, Starfighters.